Yeah, I don't even know what button to push. I'm live here with my.
You know exactly what buttons to push.
Electronically, I meant.
Got it.
We're live. She's giggling in the other room. My buddy BK, Tzviel, right?
Close enough for an American.
So
Okay, BK is fine. You only known me what? 13 years, 14 years? More.
Yeah, we're talking about that. I think there's more. It's been more than that.
2003? 2003. Wow. 17.
17 years.
Yeah.
You were like 12.
Pretty much.
So, for people who don't know, BK was Israeli Special Forces. BK owns a security company, owns a martial arts school. You don't call it Krav Maga, do you?
I don't. We call it Israeli Combat System. We can talk about it in a minute.
We will. Israeli Combat Systems. And he owns an armory. Well, a gun shop.
Mm-hmm.
And runs Masada Tactical.
Yep. All of that.
Wow. Jason Baker's watching. And Anne's happy.
Who's watching?
The best mechanic ever.
So we're going to start with some questions. Well, Anne had a question first.
So for Ernie's having everybody posting all these pictures and inviting people to come on and talk with him, and not everyone.
Friends.
What's that?
He needs friends. That's a problem.
So I know I'm not in any of the pictures. So that life was a long time before me. So for the people who are new,
that life was before cell phones.
Before me. Yep. For the people who know you and Ernie more recently, I guess we're interested to know, how did you guys meet? If you don't mind the conversation.
I do not mind. So that was through Krav Maga Maryland and Boucher, right? So I went to do my face training in Los Angeles, and because none of my certificates from Israel were accepted here. And I couldn't test because I tore the ligament on my thumb on the last day of training. I was holding a pad for someone, they kicked it, they tore a ligament, so they wouldn't let me test. So a few weeks later, I guess, Krav Worldwide said, well, we have an instructor in Philly. How about you go there? We trust him to test you. And that's how we met, I believe. Right?
Yeah, I think I might have brought the Colonel with me too.
No, so the Colonel I met at your place. I remember that you invited a few friends. It was a small class. And I remember when I met him, he put me in a bear hug. I kneed him in the groin, and it was love at first knee.
Ever since, yeah. Love at first knee. But I remember coming to you, I'm like, why am I here? And we had a conversation of...
Well, I remember doing awful at that test. Like, my form was absolutely horrendous because coming from the Israeli military side, I wasn't... Are you sure she's not Jewish? But she can't swallow. Anyways.
Anyway. Coming from the Israeli military.
Coming from the Israeli military, my technique wasn't clean, right? So when I went to train by you or to get tested by you, my skills were awful. So yeah, I remember that being a big point at the time. We corrected it. We got in line with the American version.
Yeah, I thought it was more of not your technique, but your, how do I phrase this? The way you would explain things, maybe. Well, I love you. Well, I love you. You're very upfront, and you're very
Israeli.
You're very Israeli. No, very Israeli. But
did you know that Hebrew?
You're very.
Hebrew has no word for tact because we don't have any. It doesn't exist. So yeah, I'm blunt when it comes. I'm blunt when I teach for a reason. I mean, that's in my mind. That's the beauty of Krav, right? Krav is all about being a realistic self-defense. There's nothing pretty about it, right? Once you start beautifying it, that's when the system kind of loses a lot of its appeal, at least for me. So I think that was one of the main reasons why I left Krav.
So we're on there. Paul Landert Smith, the author of this book.
The only guy that speaks funnier than me.
Oh, so much funnier.
Love Paul.
Paul is a fanboy of yours, and he sent a bunch of questions. Most of them are just, "What's your favorite gun? What's your favorite pistol? What's your and how would you fight ducks?" But he did ask, "What's the difference between Krav Maga that's done in Israel versus in the U.S.?"
So it comes down to two things, I believe. First of all, just to put it out there, I was never trained in Krav Maga in Israel in a civilian school. My Krav Maga training in Israel was in the military. My civilian training was under Gadi and Guy Skornik, who, if you go to Israel and you talk about lineages of martial art, there's two big ones. Dennis Hanover is one and Gadi Skornik is the other. And there's offshoots from those two. So I grew up training with Gadi and Guy, but that was more, I don't call it traditional, but almost as a hybrid, because his background was judo and karate and boxing and, put it all together type thing with some weapon disarms. Actually, one thing that I found out later, Imi, the guy that started Krav, he got his black belt from Gadi Skornik.
I have the certificate. I have a copy of it. Yeah. And he gave Skornik a certificate in Krav Maga.
Right. Yeah. So there was a very close relationship there. But I never actually went to a Krav school on the civilian side in Israel. My Krav was all in the military. So when we talk about differences, specifically for me, I guess in Israel, technique is important, but it's obviously secondary to aggression. It's all about aggression, right? Where I came and trained here and I went through face training here and so forth, the emphasis was, well, you got to make sure that you're at this angle and this kind of torque and your ankle has to do this and that. I'm like, no, I just want to beat the living crap out of the other person. Let me just go at it. So that is one of the big differences. The other one, and you and I had this discussion in the past, Krav was brought in the early 80s. And because of disconnect between the organization that brought them and Israel, they kind of stopped evolving. And Krav's got to keep moving forward. If we talk about a realistic self-defense, threats change, then the way we respond to those threats have to change. And Israel is doing a good job at it because of the exposure in the military, law enforcement, and security. And America kind of started lagging behind. And when I left Krav worldwide, so I don't know if you know the story, I was teaching. So I had the tumor removed, right? It was June. I had a tumor removed from my spinal cord. I'm teaching out of a wheelchair, essentially. It's a 6 a.m. class, and I can't move too much or too well. So I'm teaching a hand grenade disarm. Okay? I figure it'd be fun. It's a small class. It's a skill that I know is true Krav, the way they teach in the military in Israel. And I'm teaching it. And my luck, there's a radio producer in that class, right? So she goes on the air and talks about it. And the guy that owned the organization, I'm not mentioning names on purpose, right? The guy that owned the franchise didn't appreciate the fact that I taught a skill outside of the curriculum. And that started a whole snowball kind of effect in, well, why can I not teach this? This is Krav. And he goes, well, it's not part of our Krav. And I'm like, well, that was the main reason.
It's interesting. You say hand grenade defense, because that's one of my things I throw out to people. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, we teach real Krav, or we teach high speed." We do. I was like, "Oh, you teach hand grenade defense? Okay. So, what's the blast radius of a current hand grenade? I don't know. I know this technique. I don't know anything about a hand grenade." I'm like, "What are you teaching it for? Like, what? Like, it's." I trained Krav Maga with a guy who's doing sentry removal with an Enfield rifle. They stopped making those in 1956, I think.
I still carry a musket, but no,
like, here's a bucket of water. That's my Krav Maga.
No, I hear you. A lot of instructors out there teach skills out of context, and they take the realism out of it. So is it cool? There's a lot of vanity associated with it to a certain extent, 100%. But I also feel that we give people a false sense of security. And as an instructor, I have major issues with that. My biggest fear is one of my students going out there as a false sense of security, trying to do something, hurts himself, hurts other people in the process, and we didn't accomplish anything, right?
I agree with you. And I agree with you about the aggression. Like,
when you train in Israel, you know what it's like.
Yeah. I have fun. I got a question for you, since people ask this a lot. Average Israeli military soldier, average soldier, how many hours of Krav Maga training are they getting?
Very little, honestly. So if you're in a regular platoon, regular battalion, right? So infantry, artillery, tankers. I'm not even going about the people that hold a desk job type thing. They don't get any. So they'll get some aggression drills. As we said, it's going to be a lot of our equivalent of 30-second drills. A lot of it is done with the rifle. One of the first lessons I learned in the military during basic training is they give you the rifle the first day of basic. They say, that's your girlfriend for the next 3 years. You take it anywhere with you. Learn how to use it as a blunt object. And it's all blocks and strikes with that, right? The more advanced you get in specialized units, the more training you get. So Krav, for the most part, the real military Krav is taught as part of the counterterrorism school. So when you go there, you're behind handed to you for a couple of weeks, and that's where it gets really fun. But again, aggression, it's let's beat the living crowd of each other. Let's spar. You stand there and take it. You hang from a pull-up bar, and the instructors beat you up.
Sounds like my first martial arts school.
Right? So it's funnily enough, I'll tell you a story. So 2008 to 2011, I was the lead defensive tactics instructors for the Maryland Police Training Commission, right? So I trained at the academy level and in service. And I used to do this drill where I hung people off a pull-up bar, and I had our partners struck them. Not hard, not for a long period of time. They just had to know, because a lot of these recruits, for example, never been in a fight before in their life. And they're going to be cops on the street, and they don't know how to take a punch, right? And if you have them do it without hanging, they start cowering, right? So this kind of prevents them from cowering. They have to hang, right? And I got reprimanded for that. I actually got investigated for having them do it here. So we had to stop doing that. But
Did you explain that's how you teach the kids in the kids' Krav class?
I'm not allowed to teach kids because of it.
I don't know if you remember this or not, but I had reached out to you. Oh God, it must a couple years ago now. And I said, I'm trying to do a kids Krav curriculum. Do you have any, insights or input? And you're like, well, Feggy doesn't let me do it anymore because I was hanging the kids from a pull-up bar.
Because they do wear belts, and when they frustrate me, I hang them from the pull-up bar and leave them there. They're like, no, that's not right. You can't do it. I'm like, what do you mean I can't do it? The kid was mouthing off.
I think you've scarred Carl Edwards. Talk about that one drill that you did a 2-minute drill. It was a 2-minute drill on the ground, but you didn't start counting time till someone started bleeding.
Sounds about right.
And yeah, I think whoever his partner was, he just punched.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, didn't I punch him in the face too?
Yeah, you did that.
On YouTube. He shows everybody that.
He loved it. You kicked him in the groin too.
Yeah. Okay. For a while, I had a collection of cops, groin protection, that I broke on people. If I broke your cop, I'd write your name and date, and it went in my office. Then we did renovations at some point, and I think the construction people thought that it was trash and they threw it away. But yep, I do enjoy kicking people in the groin. No groin, no Krav Maga.
Wait, I want to say hi to people. Jason Baker, Luis, Maggie. What's up, Maggie? Kim, Neil Chapman. He talks funny too. BK. Tim Rook. Wilbo. Jason. Roberto. Scheffler. What's up? Scheffler. Eric Scheffler is a sheriff in Atlantic City, Atlantic County. You would like him. He's a big, tough dude. Paul, of course. Kimberly. Hubbard. Ryan Hubbard's watching. And he said, woo.
I think he said, yo.
I'm not wearing my glasses. Jeff Crow. Anthony. Mitchell. Tim Rook says he likes aggression and treachery. Yeah, Tim cheats all the time.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
Yeah. Nat Krav is watching. What's up? Mark Cox. What's going on, brother? Some people I haven't talked to in a long time. So, guys, we're talking with BK. He's written this book. Check it out. You can buy it on Amazon. It's a great book.
How many hours did you find as an English teacher reading a book written by
It was a fast read to me, but I loved it. I tried
putting a lot of pictures.
I like your pictures. My favorite picture of you, though, you see this bearded, rough guy in front of you. I don't know how I stole this picture from you, but you look like you could have been in any 80s band, especially Duran Duran. like it's amazing. What's up with that picture?
So that picture probably, was late 80s, early 90s. So it had to be, because I'm like junior high or early high school. And my hair was actually pretty short on that one. I have to send you a picture. My senior year of high school, my hair is down to my behind. It's
Really?
longer than ends. It's as straight as ends. It's blonde. Because all I did was I was never in classes. I would be at the beach every day. If there were waves, I'd be out surfing. No waves, I'd be out diving. Because I grew up in Tel Aviv, right? My teachers never expected me at school before noon. So so my hair got, I guess, blonde. So my hair is down to here, and yeah, my hair is short in that one. Got a lot longer. A lot better. Yep, I was pretty. Then I got old.
Tim Ruck, the name of the book is Tactical Handgun, Israeli Combat Shooting. Do you read Tim Ruck? No, I'm joking. You have another question for him?
I don't think so.
Okay, I do. I have so many. Paul again asked another question. Your Krav Maga differs from standard Krav Maga. Why? What can you tell us about that?
So you have to define what standard Krav Maga is.
Exactly.
First of all, so kind of like any other martial art, there's a bunch of options, right? There's a bunch of little lineages and a lot of, every instructor puts their own twist on stuff. So my big thing was, I felt Krav Maga, specific in America. I don't want to talk to the Israeli, and again, specific not the civilian Israeli, because I'm not as familiar. But I felt it was overly complicated. A lot of the instructors here, specifically, we mix martial arts and so forth, and I'm not opposing to any of it, and I'm not putting it down, but the reality is that jiu-jitsu started filtering in and other techniques that were not part of it, and made it to find mortal skill oriented, required a lot of dexterity. And as you and I know, under stress, all that stuff goes out the window, right? I want to keep, for example, the pluck, choke defense, right? Pluck requires you to be precise and use your fingers and stuff that is not very likely to happen. People may grab, but they're not necessarily going to pluck, right? And then when we do choke against the wall, we still do the stab defense. So why teach two different defenses where I can do the stab defense against a wall or not against the wall? It doesn't require me to use fingers, So we took the pluck away. We got away with it. We do teach the one-handed pluck on the ground with the choke from the side, the way traditional Krav would, right? So every skill that we modified, that we changed, was a response to an event where we found a flaw, right? So our handgun disarm is a little different because we found that the way it used to be taught, and it's not that the skill was wrong, the way it was taught was wrong. So we needed to almost dumb it down, and it sounds wrong, but the reality is for the majority of people, that's what you need. You're about to say something.
No, I agree. I see people doing elaborate moves.
Right.
Or like wrist locks, and I'm like, you've never been punched in the face in real life. Listen, I was never military. I was never law enforcement. I've been punched in the face a lot. Like you can tell, a lot. And I bounced on them, and things that even kickboxing or doing Hapkido or self-defense that I tried to pull off in real fights didn't do well for me.
Right.
Hitting people really hard did. And it's you see people teach this.
And it comes down to a mindset. So, for example, let's take ground fighting for a second. I love BJJ. I think BJJ is awesome. I think the conditioning of it is completely different than anything else. Someone that's really good at BJJ, grappling with them is amazing. It's a chess game. It's beautiful. I don't like my students getting into the mindset that they should be on the ground with someone.
Yeah.
I don't want them to start grappling. I want you to punch them as hard as you can and get the hell up, right? That's my goal. So that's why I'm always weary about combining styles. So we call our system Israeli combat system, mainly because I didn't want to be confused with Krav Maga in America. I didn't want people to think we're the same. And you and I had this discussion before because I've been approached by a bunch of different organizations, as you know, to kind of, can you be our rep in Maryland for this? And I always said, no, I agreed to do it with you because I know you and I trust you. And I know that you and my views are very similar on that. So I felt comfortable.
I appreciate that. I think very highly of you, my friend. Wait, but you did bring up a couple of names that are important. Like Skornik. Skornik is the man. Like in Israel, when I went to visit him, because my first time in Israel, my buddy BK gave me a list of people to get punched in the face by. And, super nice guy. His dad is a legend. He's a legend.
Yeah.
In fact, Guy Moore, who was like Wingate, was saying he was probably the best fighter in all of Israel. Guy Skornik. Yeah. And super, super nice man.
Yeah.
So
I love Guy. We're still in touch. We're great friends. He's been to most of my weddings. And no, every time I go to Israel, because as you know, I go several times a year personally because my family's there, or I go and do my reserve duty still teach at the military level, or I take groups from America. I take groups of police officers. So we always go and train with him. I always go and try to get some time in with Guy because just the wealth of knowledge that he has is unbelievable. And when my students come to me with a question that I don't have the answer, because I'll be the last one to say I know it all, right? He's the first person I call. I'm like, Guy, what would you do in this situation or that situation?
yeah.
And I think it's important that we stay humble and we keep doing that as instructors.
I tell people all the time, I get my ass kicked on a weekly basis in my own school.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Kirk or them like Ernie, stop. And it's like you've been shot. You've been Israeli Special Forces. You do all this stuff and you're like, yeah, I'm BK. Why can't Krav Maga people smile in photos? I love that. And I was thinking about you when I was posting photos because you're always like, why does everyone have to look so tough? This is fun. We're having a good time. Why can't we laugh and joke and smile? Yeah. And Anne was blown away when she saw us interact at a seminar where I had a bruise on a certain part of my anatomy because of BK and a metal knife. But we're like two little kids when we get together.
Yeah, you got
it's training, but we like to have fun.
Right. No, 100%. You have to. Otherwise, first of all, you get bored and you won't enjoy what you're doing. That's one. But B, I think as an instructor, it's important that you can connect and relate to your students as well. I mean, if I'm all tough and I know Mr. Know-it-all, I'm not going to be a good instructor.
Yeah.
So I like consulting you. I like consulting Guy Raffaelli, Guy Skornik. Whenever I have people coming to me with questions, I'll go to somebody else. There's a couple of skills that I would say we developed in-house just because I reach out to other people. They didn't have a solution. So we got together as instructors. I'll never say that I developed anything. We got together and we went through the scenario multiple times until we came up with something that seemed to work.
We used to do that all the time. We used to drive down to Maryland or you bring people up and it was a bunch of us and we'd poke holes in every technique. Right.
The first one that I think that we modified from the traditional Krav to one that we teach to this day was at your school, and it was with the colonel, with Scott, and he was a handgun defense to the side of the head, right? But when you move back and we can't do this anymore, right? We came up with that elbow option, and to this day I teach it. That's my go-to now.
Same thing, exactly. And the shotgun, where you're doing it, where you're ripping away. And I was like, wow, that's like Tai Toshi in judo.
Right.
Oh, I like that. But it's funny because it's because we didn't, how do I say this? We're giving each other resistance. We weren't just giving techniques.
Right.
We were fighting, but we were also trying to poke holes. Because I think as an instructor, I learned so much from training with you guys. It wasn't you teaching or me teaching or the colonel teaching. It was, we're all training.
Right. So you mentioned that shotgun disarm. That's one that I learned from one of my students who was a Baltimore City officer, went for my defensive tactics instructor school, and I was showing them our way. And he's like, listen, I used to do this one. What do you think? Oh, I love it. I'm going to steal it. And I learned something from my students every day. And that's what you have to be. You got to keep evolving, and you got to stay humble.
Hey, I want to do Jerry Smith's watching. Give him a shout out. Jerry loves you too.
What's up, Jerry?
Fraz. Hey, Ken. Keith, long time. Jess. I'm cousin Joey. How are you? Kyle. Hey, R.S. Mitchell's watching. He has a big school in Maryland. And I think R.S., you have a tactical company now, right? But look up RS Mitchell. Talk to BK RS. He's one of a kind. Other questions for BK? Anyone? Please shoot. No. Okay. Let's talk stories then.
There is a delay, so there might be some more popping up, but
Guys, if you have a question about Krav Maga, about BK's beard, about Israel,
The short beard. You got straight.
it's very short. About BK dressing up as a woman, any of those.
About that.
I meant in the U.S., not.
Oh, okay.
Please send them. Let's talk. If not, I'm going to just bring up old stories with them. We were laughing earlier.
Paul wants duck fighting.
Yeah, what's up with Poland ducks and you?
I don't know what's story with the ducks. So what was the
It was
question
really
again?
funny though.
Paul.
I love when you send me the question though. It's all in kilos. That's how I relate to it.
I'm like, what's kg? What's this? Yeah, Paul Edgert Smith wanted to know, would you rather fight 50 ducks or one large duck that was the same size as 50 ducks?
But dude, ducks in general. Well, I don't know about ducks, but geese.
Geese.
They're mean,
I'll
man.
mess you up.
Yeah.
Those things will fuck. Sorry, can I don't know. Can I drop that phone? Whatever. Anyways. I don't know who's watching.
Your accent, anyway.
I don't know about ducks and geese, but I'll tell you a story. So in Tel Aviv, there's a zoo. It's called the Safari. You drive, the animals come to the car and so forth. So as a kid, I'm sitting in the car and I'm eating. It's a common Israeli snack. It's called bamba. It's essentially like cheese puff, so it's made of peanut butter. And this ostrich stick its head through the window and steals my bamba. And that was the first punch I ever dropped on an ostrich.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I picture the Conan the Barbarian scene where he punches the camel. The horse.
Same thing. Dude,
Yeah.
those ostrich, that scared the living crowd out of me. I'm an 8-year-old kid eating my bamba, and all of a sudden there's an ostrich. Boom! And that was it. It was hilarious. So I fought an ostrich.
So there's a funny story. I know that a friend of mine, Dennis Amano, sent a guy up from Boston to come train with me. He was in town for the weekend. I was heading up with another buddy, D, to meet BK and the Colonel. I invited this kid. Come on up. So driving up to the Colonel's, it's where we do Krav Camp. And we have to talk about that, I think, till one point, but this is so much better. We're driving up for 3 hours. And as we drive up, my buddy and I are just one-upping each other. We're going to meet BK. Just so you know, he's gay. Really gay, like Israeli military aggressive. And it was just going, we just kept adding to it. And we were laughing, thinking this kid would know. But when we met you, BK is also a fitness instructor. So BK was wearing little running shorts and an Under Armour shirt that was probably made for a 10-year-old. Really tight.
I like it. Schmidium.
And he came up and gave me a hug and he said, yeah, I love you. I was like, I love you too. And the kid turns to you, he's like, I'm not gay. And you're like, okay, good to know. And it was just, to this day, like I think I traumatized him.
Well, you also sent me a text telling me to play along. So, as you said, like he gets in the car and I start massaging his shoulders.
Oh my God. That was hysterical. He didn't sleep at all. He slept with his back against the wall or laid with his back against the wall.
I'm preparing him for jail.
What?
I was preparing him for jail.
And Wilcox kept calling him Timmy.
I miss Wilcox.
Yeah, we all miss the Colonel, dude.
Yep.
I also like the time when we were in Vegas and they had us teach as a group. Me, you, and Scott.
Yep.
That was because, again, we were just trying to one-up each other with all kinds of drills. And just let's have. That's why I love teaching with you, teaching with Scott, because it's about fun. Like we had fun. Scott was very big, very strict. So were you on the gun range, super strict. But when we were teaching hand to hand, it's here's the reality. Let's show people what's real, but we can do it without screaming at them, without being so serious. We should smile. We should laugh. And, Scott was big on that, and so were you. And I love that. I still love that about you. Like, I go when I see you, I'm like, BK, yeah.
What's the first thing I do when I see you? I jump on you and I like my legs around you and just like spinning around. Okay.
Like Jen Wilcox.
It's like Jen Wilcox. Yeah. Hi. That's her way to say hi. Hi.
Hey.
And you're talking about the colonel. I remember teaching a seminar, a gun seminar. And I was like, okay, people are training. I'm like, this is what I want you to do. We're going to teach gun from behind. He goes, no, I won't do gun from behind. Stupid. Why would I do gun from behind? I would face my threat. I'm like, you will do gun from behind. I'm teaching a seminar. It's part of the curriculum right now. Do it. He's like, stop. I'm not going to do it. I'm like, and we were having like an argument while I'm teaching a seminar. And then finally we did it. And to this day, I talk about, tactics over technique.
Yep.
Set yourself up for success. Just don't learn techniques for the sake of learning the technique.
Right.
What technique is this?
I can't see. It's glary.
Oh.
I sticking my finger in my nose. I don't know. What am I doing?
I think it's a nasal. Shoot. I'm going.
Oh, sticking the NPA. Yes.
What?
That became my new party trick when I teach my medical trauma classes. I take the nasal pharyngeal and I stick it in my nose and open my mouth so they can see.
Nice.
I'll tell you how that started. So I'm taking a class and this one guy said, well, we had this Navy SEAL here the other day, stick it into his own nose. Like, there's no way I'm going to be outdue by a Navy SEAL, right? So outdone. I can't speak today. Anyways, I'm like, did you use lube or no lube? He said lube. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it without lube. And I took the biggest one they had and stuck it into my nose, no lube. There's a video of that one too, certainly.
Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack you.
No, it's fine.
Blame it on Ryan. He sent me the picture.
Ryan Hubbard.
So Ryan took our medical class and I do it now every time I teach. I stick one in my nose. Or even if I don't teach, I just stick them in my nose.
Both.
Out hole.
I never tried that. I should try both.
And teach.
And
Things like that. See how long you can keep them in for. Do you have questions for BK?
It's not a funny question.
all right.
I don't want to be a
But don't say
downer.
this
in the
one.
He's
conversation.
like, you're dreamy.
Shut up. No, because
Yeah, I get my serious face. Don't distract me.
you talk about building aggression, and as an instructor, that's one of the most important things that you want to do for your students. Now, I teach a lot of women who have very little experience with any type of violence at all. Do you have any go-to drills or phrases or things that you use on your students to encourage them to be more aggressive?
It's right. So we do this one class. We teach it twice a year to victims of domestic violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they come, they're very timid, they don't want to go hands-on, they're afraid of touching people, they're afraid of being touched, and so forth. And by the time they leave, you see them walking a little bit straighter. I always say, from training law enforcement and military units, that's probably the one class that gives me the most amount of satisfaction because I feel like I'm making a difference, right? But it really comes into easing them into it and making them understand that it's not about the skill, that it's not about, we teach them a palm heel strike, we teach them a choke defense, an A-frame kick, and a guard escape, right? Because realistically speaking, that's probably what they're going to find themselves in. And we usually only have 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours. So it's not a lot of time. So the thing for me during that seminar is to teach them that they can literally do anything and they'll be fine. Yeah. And most people weren't told that. Most people, there's rules, right? As a society, we have rules, right? You don't kick a boy in the balls. You don't eye gouge people, right? So, like, why the hell not? Why do we not? Why do we not throw stuff at them? Why do we not pick up the fire extinguisher and hit them across the head with it?
The best improvised weapon ever.
Right? I'm a big fan. So the second that starts sinking, and you can see the transition over time. You just got to keep drilling it into them. Do we do 30-second drills? Yes. Do we do sensory deprivation? Close your eyes. The basic one where somebody you close your eyes and somebody chokes you front or rear, right? And you gotta open your eyes and address it, right? That's scary for people that were victimized before, probably choked, right? And now you ask them to close their eyes and so from an emotional and a psychological standpoint, that's a huge stressor, right? But by the end, those 2.5 hours, class is over. I don't want to say they're great at it, but they definitely have a sense of self-assurance that they didn't have coming in.
Right.
I think that's awesome.
And when you teach the chokes, do you do the arm up or do you do the pluck?
Arm up. Because front to rear, it's going to work the same. It doesn't matter. And they don't have to decide, okay, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to spin that way. They just take an arm up and turn to face your opponent. You'll be fine. And when in doubt, this is something I got from Ernie. Whenever I mess something up, just hit them harder.
Hit them harder.
Yep. And that
Thank you. How about our dogs rolling around in front of us? How about you giving us a little bit more of some of the philosophy you use when you teach?
On philosophy.
Your insights.
I don't know. I don't know that there's anything that you don't know or that I.
Well, about what I know, for everyone else watching.
Oh, so you know me that I'm big on. You asked me before about teaching a lot of firearms, right? I'm big on integrating weapons. I'm big on a full holistic approach to self-defense, right? So what we teach on Masada is not just Krav or Israeli combat system, right? We teach the medical side, we teach firearms, we teach fighting with knives, fighting with flashlights. I'm a big fan of use whatever the environment gives you and tactically sound, right? Because a lot of people, we've seen it the past 2 weeks with this COVID stuff, right? So we own a gun store. We sold out of everything within the first day. We cannot keep anything in the store. As shipments are already pre-sold. Things are going, we don't even know or because people are freaking out. But the reality is that talk about that false sense of security. These people are buying firearms that they don't know how to use. I'm afraid of selling some of them to some of these people, right? They don't know how to use them. They don't know the tactics behind it. But most importantly, what I tell them, what if you can't use it? Anything from a mechanical malfunction, the gun is unloaded, you have an issue with it, or from a tactical standpoint, there's someone behind your target. Your child is behind the target. You can't shoot that target now because your child is behind, right? That bullet travels through. And what do you do now? So I like giving people as many, I don't want to say as many options because that's actually wrong. I'm trying to give them the least amount of options, but give them realistic options.
Yes, it's true. Again, when you see people do gun defense and they do that, like, have you ever shot a gun before? No. What are you doing?
Right.
Like I think of it as brass knuckles hit with a pointy end. Not, people don't understand, again, what they're doing or why they're doing it. Yep. They're just memorizing the technique.
Right. So we make mandatory seminars for our members. So, for example, to progress from one level to the next, they got to take, not only learn the curriculum for that level, they also have to take one seminar for each level. And the one that's mandatory from the first to the second level is a basic handgun seminar. Not that I expect them to be marksmen or be experts in using it. What I expect them to do is not to be safe with it. I'm going to take a gun away from someone. I want to make sure I don't shoot myself, or somebody else that I care about, right? So they need to know at the very least that. Then they got to learn trauma care. Then they got to learn how to fight with another tool. So edge weapon or blunt object, we teach that. It's a mandatory seminar. So I think giving them those, making them well-rounded warriors in a sense, I think that's important to me. People ask me, why do you teach at this school? And is it Krav? Is it self-defense? Is it martial art? And I'm like, no, I try to make warriors. One of the things that I'm very proud of is that to date, 8 of our students went to Israel to join the military. All of them end up in special forces units, including the females, which is pretty amazing. And I have 2 of my instructors. You met Billy and Josh. So Bill is a captain in the Marine Corps now, and Josh is a police officer here in Maryland, So not that I want anybody or necessarily need anybody to join the military or law enforcement to prove that they're warriors, right? It's all here and here, right? But But that's what I'm trying to instill in people, that mindset.
Thank you. I agree with you, and I think that's why I seek out other people. You, Paul Andrew Smith, Jerry Smith, Steve Weiler, people of this name, Doug Staffelbach, who's air marshal and all. People who know more than me, bring them in and teach, and it's amazing because I've learned so much. Got a couple questions from people. Is there medical stuff in your book? No. But he's writing another one that's going to be focused on.
Apparently, I am. I should get with Paul and write it together.
Oh my God! And then both talk.
Nobody will understand.
Audible. What's your favorite knife to use?
Oh, knife to use or what knife I carry? Because they're two different things.
It's both.
So I'm a big fan of fixed blades to use, right? I don't like folders, too many points that could be compromised, right? There's a knife that we designed, or that I designed, that is my favorite because it has everything that I wanted in it, right? From the blade shape, which is a reverse tanto essentially, to the grip, to the thickness of the steel. Because in my mind, we all learned how to use a knife from a self-defense standpoint, like cutting other people. The reality, 99.9% of your time, you're going to use it to open a box or pry at something or whatever. So I want my knife to be a tool, right?
Yeah.
So that would be my favorite knife. But being a fixed blade, even though it's not very big, it's about 8 1/4 total. Talking about the knife. I am Jewish, so it's going to be 8 inches. But anyways, I don't carry it. So what I usually carry is an Emerson CQC 7. It's a karambit design, but it's with a tanto blade.
Nice. Now, the knife you designed, is that for sale?
The knife I designed, what about it?
Is it for sale?
So not yet. I have the prototypes. I'm looking for someone that I trust to make it. So I was very big. We had companies in China that wanted to produce it. I'm very big on stuff being made in America if I can, even though it takes the price up a little bit. And I'm yet to find a manufacturer that can do the quantities that I need at the level and quality that I need. So still looking. So if you know anybody, let me know. Okay. I have the prototype, I have the design, I have everything.
If anyone makes knives, I do know a couple people. Reach out. And Greg says the mandatory seminar is a great idea. Yes, it is a good
idea. Which seminar? The mandatory seminar?
Yeah. Paul Andrew Smith said that would be awesome, and he's really happy to write a book with you.
Done.
Or
Paul, I'll call you later.
I would love to listen to that on Audible. Oh my God. Okay, since we haven't talked about it, and we only have about 15 minutes left, Krav Camp in August. Guys, for us, this is the hope of being outside with friends, shooting, training, having fun, laughing. I can't speak. Laughing, having a good time. Krav Camp's in August. In fact, BK was the original. Me, you, and the Colonel.
Long time ago. That was good times.
14, 15 years ago, I think.
Has it been that long? Yeah.
I have the flyer. And that was a shit show. I mean, it was great, but it was like, okay, I'm done teaching. You're in. Okay, what do you guys want to do? And it was just, Colonel wanted to just, okay, zip tie me or duct tape me. Let me show you how to get out. Like, we were shooting, we were training. People were driving up in pickup trucks, handing down weapons to shoot. It was amazing. But it was that camaraderie, that just the atmosphere of just students, friends. It was just so much fun.
Right.
And it's, Krav Camp is now, we're all over the place with it. We have 20 instructors for this Krav Camp.
Unbelievable.
And it's Krav people that we aren't associated with. World War II, the Gung Ho Shuang Association guys are coming up to teach. All these different instructors, jiu-jitsu instructors, kickboxing, UFC fighters, everyone. And it's amazing, but I gotta tell you, I'm so happy that you're going to be there.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm sorry I missed the last piece, so I'm super excited about being there.
Dude, it's going to be like old school or whatever. Old home for me, it would be like an old home. But talk about Krav Camp.
Talk about Krav Camp.
Yeah. What are you teaching?
Just me?
So I think I'm teaching 2 classes, unless you tell me otherwise. I'm teaching a shooting class and a handgun disarm class, right? So my shooting class, since we're limited in time, and I think you capped me at about 4 hours, it's going to be very drill driven. And the idea is to show people the basics of Israeli combat shooting through drills. So the main difference, talk about mindset and aggression when we talk about Krav, that translates to firearms, right? In my mind, there's a flaw in the way we teach firearms in America. We teach people how to shoot, right? So for example, when we talk about police officers, we teach them how to pass a qualification test. We don't teach them how to fight with a gun. And that's what I want to do. I want to show them that the gun is just a tool, and it's all about the mindset and what to do when shit hits a fan and it's really bad and your adrenaline is dumping and you get all these physiological responses to stress. What do you do now? So we're going to do a lot of stress inoculation, a lot of physical fatigue type drills, and then engage targets. And I'm going to show them how to use mechanical processes to facilitate that. So even under stress, I can hopefully still hit my target. The other one is going to be a handgun disarm. I'm going to show our way of disarming guns, which are a little different than traditional Krav. Again, show why we do things the way we do. And people can take it or leave it. That's up to them. But hopefully it gives them another way of looking at things and open their eyes a little bit.
It's, there's a quote by Amy actually who says like, Krav is individual. Every person creates their own. It's really like Jeet Kune Do. It's what works for you. I don't carry the same items that you carry.
Right.
I'm not built like you. I have certain go-tos that work for me. But as an instructor, you have to be like a chef. You have to be able to prepare any type of food for different body types or different, if they're a police officer, if they're a school teacher, if they're admin at a hospital, no matter what it may be, you've got to be able to do that. And having people like you, having other instructors come in, but people of your caliber, you've been there, you've done that, and you're like, look, that's not going to work in real life. Or Paul saying, the first time on the job, pulling my weapon out, I wasn't standing up on a range. I was laying on top of a partner sideways or something.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the reality of the situation.
Right.
And it's being open-minded enough to just try things.
Yeah.
Try it.
It's funny, you talk about being the chef. I just want to throw something out there. So when we teach defensive tactics to law enforcement, for example, one of the parts of the curriculum is teaching restraint and control, right? So we teach joint manipulations from escort holds, right? So we teach 7 or 8 different joint manipulations. And what I tell all the students is, I don't need you to know all 7 or 8. I want you to find which one works for you, which one you naturally gravitate towards, and own it. Make it your go. Get really good at that one. Forget about the other 7. But that's the idea. Give them the options. Let them choose the one that works for them.
Let me see who wrote this. Hey, Rick. Rick, you get to choose the classes you want to attend at Krav Camp. We're going to have a list of instructors and classes. You get to choose them. If there's something that might bother your knee, you don't have to do it. You could shoot all weekend long. You could train all weekend long. It's up to you. I had someone ask a question. Jason, his question is, do you believe you should be intimidated working with women? Oh no, come here. Only if you're with Ann. I have a lot of guys that get intimidated working with Ann. What?
That she intimidated me.
I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I have to partner with BK? What if I mess up? And then I was like, okay.
Because I know you got trained by Ernie because you make the sounds like
But
so what do you mean by intimidated?
What does it? I don't understand the question.
He in training once, he made a mistake and hit a woman in the face. And it's like,
so
it's training. We were doing stress drills.
Right.
And I think this is going back like 12, 15 years. Back when I was, he's a PMA school. So he's like, how do you avoid that? It happens, stress levels. But basically, I'll let Ann talk about it. But in my opinion, I don't want to shut women down, but I don't want to give them a false sense of confidence. And that goes for any body type, bigger, stronger, shorter, smaller. I want to build by degrees, make people better, not, drink through the fire hose at the first time. So Ann's big on structure versus female male, but.
So my biggest thing when I teach my women self-protection is that they need to be in charge of their space. So if you are allowing someone into your space when you're using them as a training partner and they're going too hard, it's your responsibility to say, I need you to slow down a little bit and not be
different than working with a man, though. I mean, the reality is that communication between partners is super important.
But as a woman, it's harder for us to we apologize a lot. And we protect our partners. So we don't want to go too hard because we don't want to hurt someone. And this is in general, there are some women who are like, I'm going to mess you up. And if I walk out with 2 black eyes, I'm cool with it. But then, and then there's other women who I think that's the most important part that they can learn is the confidence of saying, this is my space. If I'm the pad holder, then I'm in control of the situation. And if you're hitting me too hard, it's my job to say, I can't handle that, man or woman. But I think women need a little bit more of it's okay to say that kind of conversation. But I also think that if women are training and we get punched in the face, that's okay because we're training and it's contact happens and, you learn how to protect yourself better. And I have a much different demographic that I can say I teach than anybody else. Cause I have women of all ages who've never done anything violent or worked with any type of violence in their life, unless it was done to them. So they're traumatized. And they build and they build and they build. And the injury that happens most often, or the strike that hits them most often, is they'll be holding for an elbow with the pad a little too high, and their partner will throw a massive elbow to the front and they'll punch themselves in the face. And they're like, whoa. And it's like, that's their first contact is actually punching themselves in the face, and it hurts, and they drop the pad and everybody's like, oh my God, are you okay? And then they're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And I'm like, yes, it wasn't, because they were able to control. They found a sense of control in the fact that, they were holding the pad. They felt it. It happened. All right, no big deal. I'm going to hold it lower next time. And I got hit and it was okay. So I wouldn't feel intimidated working with women.
No, and you know what, I agree with you. So I do think it comes down to communication and the paddle or the female letting them know, as long as it doesn't come from a malicious place.
Yeah.
Shit happens. Injuries will happen. It's a contact sport for a reason. It happens for guys as well. I'll tell you I had one time recently, actually, a student quit the school because he hurt another student and he felt bad emotionally about it. Even though we tried it out. He gave a guy a black eye. It wasn't the end of the world, right? But he felt really bad about it. And we told him, like, it's not a big deal. It happens. The member that got hit didn't mind. Mm-hmm. It's the one that made the contact.
Yes.
That never came back.
Yeah.
And, but you know what? That's part of fighting. And if you can't take it, then this is not the right sport for you. That's not going to work. Yeah.
And you had posted something a couple of weeks ago that you don't win a fight. Someone just loses less.
Right.
I thought I've used that probably 3 times.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of that. So as someone that's been in a lot of fights, and Ernie, I'm sure you can relate to that. I've never walked away from a fight unscuffed. It doesn't matter if I don't want that end up at the upper hand or so forth. I still got bruised. I still got scratched. I still got hurt to some extent or another, right? So in my mind, and what I tell people is always, there's no winners in a fight. There's the person that lost less. Mm-hmm. And that's what I can give you. Then I did my job in a sense.
Yeah.
And it's not even just physically. Yeah, Paul's doing customer service. Don't let that happen.
Okay.
No, don't let that happen. Let the Englishman do customer service. Not but like not even physically. Like I've broken knuckles or gotten stitches, but legally.
Right.
You know,
Emotionally, psychologically.
yeah. But
I mean, that
Yeah.
one guy, that was his biggest thing. The one that he wasn't the physical. He didn't get hurt physically at all. He hurt somebody.
I'm talking about you. Emotionally.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Psychologically, it's all messed up. So we're good.
But it's important that we tell people this.
Right.
Like, or again, you're going through like these crazy things that people may teach. You know, snap someone's neck every technique. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not opposed to stabbing someone in the neck, but that's not always the right response.
Yes. Or, do a wrist throw every technique.
Right.
Yeah. Let's try and, let's talk more of controlling the distance, getting your fence, using your words.
So we got really big at verbal de-escalation now, and understanding components of communication and how to read somebody's body language and so forth. Don't get into a fight to begin with. Who was it? Bruce Lee that said, the best way to not get punched is not beat her.
Yeah.
Right.
And to win 100 battles isn't the greatest thing to not have to fight. Live too, right?
Yeah.
I think we've got 3 minutes. And I want to do another plug. BK has a book. You Have a Knife out soon. BK has a book. Paul has a book.
We're gonna have a book together.
We'll do a book together. The child of their books will be there. But I also pulled out when I left at one point that. Now, I've read through this numerous times, and I don't read Hebrew, so it's been hard. But the pictures are nice, and you're one of your instructors, right?
Yep. So the guy doing the kick, that's Guy. That's the person that I learned on the back is Gadi. That's his father, the guy that started it, started that system, that lineage. Phenomenal family. All the instructors. There's at some point at the beginning, there's a bunch of pictures of all the black belts at the time when the book was published. So if you go through it, probably about half of them are close friends and people that I consider close family. The good people, all of them.
And every one you've ever told me to go train with in Israel has been top notch and super nice. Guy Gill, Guy Skornick, Guy Raphael, super great instructors, great people. And we have to teach a 7:30 Krav class in our living room, in our new school inside our house.
I gotta go make dinner.
When I say we, I want to thank BK. Guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for logging in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your questions. Thank you, BK. It was a pleasure, man. I miss you. I want to see more of you.
Sounds good. I come visit. I got a lot more free time now because I can't teach at my school. No, I love you too, Ernie. I miss you, and I'm really looking forward to this camp. I'm super excited about it.
So am I. As soon as this thing's over, we got to get you to come up and visit and do a seminar.
Will do.
Maybe pre-camp. Hey, guys, thank you. BK, have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
I should do this, huh? Guess who started watching? Greg is walking. I'll talk about neck snaps. So.
Oh, good. All right.
Okay. Do you have Krav class?
You didn't stop.